Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question and possibly a follow-up. So in our gift shop over here, you can pick up a copy of the debate that was going on during the forming of our Constitution. It's about 1,000 pages long, but it's very interesting to read the discussions that they were having at the time. So in about the year 1864, when our state was booming, a big issue that they were having at that time was a private company wanted to build a railroad through our state. Great idea, right? So there was a lot of discussion, just like there is today, some on both sides of the fence. So that discussion would later turn into Article 8, Section 9. The section forbade state investments in private businesses, loans, gifts, or extensions of any type of credit. So the arguments were long and they got passionate just like they get today. And helping a company build a railroad would create more jobs here in Nevada. It would also save millions of dollars in the transportation costs. In fact, it was brought up that Virginia City at the time used millions of cords of wood that had to be brought by wagons. So mail documents and people would be able to get to the West Coast in hours rather than days. And so it would benefit Nevada immensely if the state participated in helping to fund the completion of the private railroad. And as you see, once the railroad company was completed, they were right. And the private railroad did in fact benefit Nevada. However, if it had failed, or if the money had been gone to a dishonest company, or if the state would have gambled with people's money, and that wasn't acceptable. One particular argument that they were having at the time stuck in my mind, because it reminded me of kind of what's happening here today. A gentleman brought up the idea that maybe they shouldn't place the prohibition in the Constitution, but rather leave it up to the legislatures of the future to decide, just in case things change in the future and we need to invest in a private company. He had claimed that the legislators of the future would most likely be trusted to make the best decisions based on the times and the circumstances. Of course, then the counter argument that prevailed was that the people should be the ones who decide such a thing. And if the people wanted it, they have the means to do it. And that means was to simply amend the Constitution by voting to change it. So Article 8, Section 9 does read as the following: the state shall not donate or loan money or its credit subscribed to or be interested in the stocks in companies, associations, or corporations, except corporations formed for educational or charitable purposes. It's simple and to the point. Should future Nevadans ever want to change it, all they need to do is vote to do so. So this prohibition was honored, and it didn't hear much about it throughout 116 years of growth. However, in 1984...
Ms. Shelton, are you close to your question?
Yep, I'm getting to it, because there's three different things that have happened since then that led to our state's turning down the path of gambling with people's money. The first attempt to change the Constitution to permit what we are discussing today was put to the people, and it failed. So then again, we tried again in 1992. It was asked of the taxpayers if it was okay to invest taxpayers' money. It failed. 1996, again, it failed. In 2000, and each time that it's brought to the voters, the words are changed just a little bit to try to make it more pleasant to people. In fact, in 2000, having the idea of they put the highly qualified jobs in there, it read, should the Nevada Constitution be amended to allow the investment of state money in a company, association, or corporation to assist economic development and the creation of new high-quality jobs? Once again, it failed. I also have looked up different legal cases attorney general opinions that have all basically said no. State money is not going to be invested in businesses. So my question to you today is, I haven't been able to locate it, so I'd like you to provide me with the date and the results of the recorded vote where the people of Nevada amended our Constitution to allow for investing in our future with private companies.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Wilden, for the record, for the response. I would simply answer this way. Neither myself nor Mr. Hill are constitutional lawyers, as you know. I would further say that I think those questions are more for your staff. I would say further that your staff and we are not allowed to push forth legislation that doesn't meet the constitutional standard. Your legal staff check that all the time. So that's all I can respond. Tax abatements, tax credits, incentives have been on the books for many years, and they have passed your staff's constitutional legal tests.
Thank you. I agree with that answer, and I think that's probably appropriate.
Can I have a
answer
follow-up?
for staff. Okay.
If that's all it takes, if all it takes to change our Constitution is for somebody to decide that the plain wording,
Ms. Shelton,
accepted.
is your question related to this bill?
yes, it is. It is. It's the whole purpose of the bill. But if that's all that it takes for someone to decide the plain wording has been accepted for over 100 years, really doesn't matter. What's the purpose of the Constitution?
That, I think, is outside the scope of this, and it's probably another question for staff. Mr. Orenshaw?
Thank you.